In this video, I'm going to be drawing on hot press watercolor paper, and I'm going to be using colored fine liner pens. They are not waterproof because what I might do at the end is add a little bit of water within the shapes to just give a bit of a wash feel. We'll see how we go. I've got two of each that are similar enough that they're not too different, so that if I need to have one where I use it with a ruler and one where I put it in the compass, I've got them kind of sorted. And the idea is some lines you want them to be less visible and some lines you want them to be more visible. Some are the actual pattern lines. So I just want to maybe use layers to kind of help me see less of those less important lines than the future ones. It's a bit like when you use a thin fine liner and then a thick fine liner. But these are colours which are getting stronger in my layering rather than getting thicker. Okay, this can be any size you wish. And the circle that you decide, your very first circle, that will be the biggest. There'll be nothing outside of that. I'm going to go for something that fits nicely on A3 paper and also is not too annoying with a 30cm ruler. So for me, that's about 10 or 11 centimeters. So we'll begin with a vertical line and mark its horizontal. Then I'm going to use my compass to draw the circle. Now, because this is 4 rosettes tiled, this circle is only to set up the situation. It's not part of the pattern. And so you might not be able to see it. I'm going to apologize in advance, but it is something you've done before where you've drawn a circle and divided it into 4. Okay, now one thing I'm going to do different, I'll indicate it, but I'm not going to draw the full arc, and I'm not even going to start here. I'm going to draw just a mark in the corners. So it's about that long, and it's about that long, and I'll do that either side. And what that will allow me to do is just mark the corners of the square. Okay, now I want to use this same compass or another compass to do my vertical. And what you can do is if you open up your compass and feed through the pen, now this is given you, you know, hoping you've got a holder. This is called a pen attachment. So you normally take out the lead part and insert this, and then you can put in whichever pen you like. Some of them have this kind of mechanism. I'll just show you the other one. And it can be plastic parts or metal parts, and usually the metal ones are stronger. I've broken one of these just because I'm a brute. And other times you can get pen holders that have not a lot going on, but there's a thread inside that you can thread in technical pens into. So this is good, but you need the kit to go with it. But for attachments where you can use any pens, not only can you kind of cheat with your radius by making it that much bigger and feeding it through, you can put any pen in there usually. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this to do a mark on the top and the bottom. And notice I'm using these 2 points. Usually I would have had 2 points here, but I've done away with that. So now we have the 3 marks we need. I'm going to line up the ruler with the crosses and the center. And then just draw it inside the shape. And then this I'll make back to being a normal compass and close it a little so that I can find the radius of the original circle. And now I'll complete the corners by doing just a dash above and below. Okay, so a lot of that will be invisible to you, but they're the constructions that have been done before. I'm just doing them in a light colour, and you can see where I stop and start the lines are those intersections. Now I'm going to turn my paper so that I've got a really good view before I draw these lines, because this square is going to turn into 4 squares, and I want it to be exact and accurate as possible. So that initial circle, we didn't want it to be too bold because we wanted to establish 4 squares. I'm going to draw the diagonals and the horizontals and the verticals. Have you ever seen me end a line so neatly? I normally just like let them zoom off. So although we've got potentially 16 squares here, what we really want and have are 4 squares in which we're going to draw 4 circles, and these will be our 4 rosettes. So I'm going to do this in the mid colour. Okay, so a lot of checking. So this circle, the radius I choose, has to be touching the tops and bottoms of the squares in 4 places 4 times. The other thing you'll find is just that little maneuver I did for your benefit, it made my hole too big. So have a light touch, don't make your hole too prominent, because then it's decided your compass point will only slip into that hole and not go anywhere else. So although I've checked them, I'm just going to, before committing to the actual drawing, check them again. If you find your accuracy drops or isn't to your satisfaction at any point, I would recommend following the whole process through, which I know some people would hate to do, and then you'll learn a lot more in the rest of the drawing and be even better prepared for your second version. Okay, so we want to divide the shape into 24. However, we also want to draw hexagons. And when you overlap 2 hexagons, it automatically produces 24 divisions. So rather than draw all those extra circles like I did before in my previous drawing, I'm going to do this in a slightly different order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 12 divisions, the ones I can do with my compass. I'll show you. And then I'm going to put in my hexagons, and then I'm going to put in my 24 divisions. So this compass, I just changed the pen, but it should be the same radius as the radius of your circle. And if you put it on the north, east, south and west of every single circle and mark on the circle, if I say circle one more time, the divisions when it hits the line. And you can sometimes do 2 at once, especially on this, this, this and this point. So I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm sometimes, or notice I'm holding my compass by the pen because I feel like I need to control it even more so than usual. So I'm kind of doing this, and I don't normally do that with pencil because the pressure's on with pen. Okay, so we've divided our circles into 8 with lines, and with these dashes, these are some of the 24 divisions. But what they are in their own right are the 12 divisions. So if you counted them up and included the horizontal and the vertical, you'd have 12 divisions. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use them to draw the hexagons. So a static hexagon, and making sure we extend the sides into each circle's square. So firstly the static hexagons, then I'm going to turn my paper, and they are the dynamic hexagons, but basically I'm just doing it again because I've turned my paper. Make sense? Good. All right, I'm going to start with the horizontal sides of the hexagon, and you're able to line up 4 points across the two and complete it with a continuous line. Satisfaction levels are high. Okay, so to complete this hexagon we need to do the 2 angled sides, and I'm going to do this, and then I'll do the middle because that's too much fun. Anyway, it's good to repeat. So what I've just done here, I'm going to do over here. Okay, and the ones in the middle, the reason I said they were so much fun is because they go across 2 circles. So that intersection where the circles meet, and this intersection, and take it to the edge of the square. So this is a static hexagon, it's sitting on its base. We want to do the dynamic one, but rather than retrain my brain to see it, I'm just going to turn my page, and then I'll draw a static hexagon here. So this is again a hexagon sitting on its horizontal base, and I'm going to draw the horizontal tops and bottoms first. And like I did before, I'm going to do the 2 angled sides, and then the crosses and the crosses. So right now we have the 2 overlapping hexagons completed, and what they've extended into the spaces in between. The other thing that is now possible, which we postponed till now, is putting in the 24 divisions. So if you look at this small triangle, this is the tip of the dart that comes between the rosette's petals. So it's the stellation, and you can see how they're meeting each other tip to tip. So if you look at the top of the triangle and go to the center, that's the division that we've got missing. And if you go to where the triangles meet each other, to the center, out to the other side, that's the division we've got missing. So we're going to put them in, but in some places, rather than stop at the square, I'm going to extend them. I'll tell you why when I get to it. And I think I'll do these in the yellow. Okay, so notice I've drawn it and extended beyond the edge of the square to one further intersection. So what the reason for that is, great sentence, is this will be the hexagon that lies in the spaces in between. So rather than me have to extend them afterwards like this, which is a perfectly fine activity, I'm going to extend them now. Now back to these lines that I'm missing. They are harder to draw because they're a shallow intersection. Okay, so I'm going to do the tips first because those ones I know I want to extend a little bit further, and then I'll do the other ones next. So in one of the circles, we want to establish that inner proportioning circle where the triangle, the ring of triangles meet. And it's sufficient for us to draw this in one place. And then what I'm going to do is on that inner circle, line up the ruler 12 o'clock to the point that's 90 degrees plus 1 intersection away. And then rather than fully mark them, I'll just put a dot. So we went from a dotted line at first to a dash, now to a dot. Next time, perhaps we could just, like do a indentation with a compass point or a divider. So your marking becomes less and less. Oh, that's nice. And then put your circles in. Now for the next maneuvers, we're going to draw in the petals roses. Now these are our final lines, so if you're feeling brave, you could go to your thick final pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put little dots on the points that I'm going to use, and it's the hours of the clock. I might just do it on this one rather than all of them, so that I get familiar with it. And the other thing is, when you put your ruler in position in one quarter, it doesn't have any impact on the other ones. You can't extend your ruler across the diagram for these petal lines. So you're going to be doing this full on 4 times. And so you start at that straight line at the hexagon, come into your point where you lined it up, and then stop at the second intersection. So this, because you're doing the final lines, concentrate. That's it, literally just concentrate. And the other thing I'm going to do is I am going to put in my small proportioning circle. Now if I loosen my pen holder a little, when you draw smaller circles, you want the compass to stay vertical, so sometimes you have to adjust the position and lean it in. Just drew lots of squiggles there, no reason. Let's check, tiny bit more. Okay, all right, let's continue our way around with these. And the key is concentrate. Oh dear. All the lines are drawn. I hope we thoroughly enjoyed this crazy moment where I just went through it. I don't know what came over me. And what we're going to do now is just look at what's happening in the spaces in between. So we know that there'll be 2 petals here. everything we need for them is done. We've got a hexagon, and that hexagon, sorry, it's this one, it extends into an octagon. So what you can do is, because we extended those lines, everything we need before we deal with this is there. So basically these channels in between are done. It's just the corners that are left. So to prepare for that, I'm going to try and draw everything else, and if I come to a problem where I can't outline it, then I'll stop. Okay, so for this center section, you might want to use your smallest compass, something like this, and you might want to do it in pencil. So you've got to complete these hexagons, and when you complete these hexagons and find that sixth corner, you then extend them in the middle to make an octagon. Now it could get a little bit skew, so the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use my smallest hexagon to transfer this distance to the left. Let's point at it. So this is the center of the hexagon. This distance I'm going to find here. Okay, and I'm just going to use my other small compass to check that they are the same distance in a circle, and they almost are. This one's a little bit off, so I'm going to compensate for that. So let's just begin, and then you'll see. So this and this point, so on the north, east, south and west, that's what we're using, and we're extending. Okay, and what you can do is then maybe establish another one on the diagonals, because the octagon has some slightly different proportions. Irregular because it's a product of the regular hexagons. But what also you can notice is this line we're putting in is parallel to existing lines. This bit is worth doing really carefully. There's a certain amount of dodginess here because I think these two are a little bit off, but yeah, it's one of those things. I'm going to do something a little bit weird for some of you, but absolutely normal for anyone else. So this is watercolor paper, but I used water soluble felt tip pens and fine liners. So this is something I saw Becky do, and her account is Chameleon Designs. And I also see Clarissa Grandy do it, and I was so tempted I have to join in. So luckily I have some water to hand. So yeah, the idea is just on the inside, you add a little bit of water and it bleeds into the shape, and then you can just wash that colour along. And don't use too much water, just a little. Do you see how I just splished there? Oh, okay. And because I've got these other colours that are involved as well, they're gonna influence the colour, but it's all entirely quite subtle. Okay, let's see how this goes. It's delicious. I love it. I can see some excessive bleeding. Sounds like a medical drama, but I'm going to leave them be until the end. If it's one that I can stop, then with a wet with a paper towel, then I will do, but that one, the damage is done. I didn't spot it. Oh my gosh, that is wonderful. So I have to let you into a bit of a secret. I know I like purple, and I know I like it with oranges and yellows. It's one of my favourite combinations, but I did not know that it'd come out so beautifully. I mean, I'm sure self-praise is no praise, but I love this. I'm going to put all my kit down and get excited by all the joys of today's geometry. Is that all I used? Oh, that's it. Oh, let's put you here, put you here, and put you there. Oh, wasn't even straight on the paper. How comes nobody told me? Ta-da, finito.